Time flies, Jungo, and Focus Friend. This is Staying In. Just a little sidebar here before we begin. I think it's important we have an Apples update from you, Pete. Have you received the results from the geneticist?
No, I have received the... Thank you very much for sending your apples. I can confirm that we have received them. Could you please
They were delicious.
Yeah. Could you please send us money so that we can do this, please? And I was like,
Oh,
no.
Pete, this isn't a business.
No, I think this might be a scam.
This is Jeff down the road.
Yeah. So they're there now. They have £30 of my money, and I will provide details. I think October, November is when maybe when the results will return. So I mean, I know we're all waiting with bated breath, but it's good times. Can't wait.
Where are you on your your juicing journey?
I'm done for the season. So
Full stop.
Of course I am. So that's not true. There's a few more apples on the tree. Basically, it was, as every gardener will know, and certainly every pomologist will know, the apples came in early this year because it was quite a hot summer in the UK. And it meant that basically they ripened early and then they started falling early. So they're basically good to go now. So they've all been juiced. I now have 12 litres of cider currently sat, getting ready.
And what's the plan?
I'm going to drink it, Dan.
Drink it, presumably.
Is the plan just to drink it? Because that sounds like quite a lot to have there.
I'm not going to have it all in one go, just to be clear. Like, I'm not going to be like...
But I also feel like once it's ready,
yeah,
like it's not like you have your own bottling centre to keep it all fresh. Like, how long does it last?
Oh, yeah, no.
It's going to go in the bath, Dan.
So cider will last up to 12 to 24 months. And really it'll probably go longer than that. But yeah, no, easily a year it'll last. Apple juice, you have to make shelf stable by pasteurizing it. And yes, I have looked into whether or not I will purchase a pasteurizer. But that is...
And the answer is yes.
And the answer is quite likely. So, but yeah, so, that's my big Apple update.
Are you bottling them up, or are you just
bottled,
kind
mate.
of like?
Yeah,
are you just going to have a small little? I'm imagining like a little metal cup.
Yeah.
That they may have used during the war, and every now and again you just wander outside and just dip the cup in and wander back inside.
Yeah, that's right. That's how it works. No, so I've bottled everything up. And for listeners, if you're new to this, I'm sorry. But basically, I do because I'm nearly 40. I've now gotten into home brewing, and so I've got an apple tree, so I'm making cider. But basically, what I've done, Dan, is I've bottled up, like 20 odd bottles of cider, and they are currently becoming fizzy. Half of them, so doing a process that makes them fizzy, and the other half will be still, and then you best believe that when you folks come down in a few weeks' time, maybe a month's time, they should be ready. And when we're playing board games, for us to have a little sip on. They're less powerful than they were last year. They're about 5%, 5.5% rather than the scorching
that's a good number,
nearly
I think.
7 from last year. But yeah, and then I'll be able to, and some of them I've got to give those bottles away to my builder because he actually provided a whole bunch of the apples very kindly as well. So it's been a very appley season. Basically, I took a week off work to just do all of this. I took a week off to basically get my apples sorted.
Wow.
I know.
And is Calvados on the cards?
Again, unbelievably, Chris, I did look into whether or not I'm allowed to have a still, and the answer is I'm allowed to own a still as long as I promise not to distill alcohol from it.
Right.
If I want to distill alcohol from it, I have to be a company. I have to pay for company's house to be a registered business.
Right. So you've obviously done that, I see.
Yeah.
So I have to apply
what's the company name?
I had an idea, Daniel.
Go on.
It was either going to be Grandad Smith or Grandson Smith.
Yeah, I mean, that
Just a
would be
little tip of
lovely
the
thing.
hat to Apple Heritage.
Absolutely. So you have to be a registered company, which means you have to have a finance person. Well, you have to balance the books every year, and HMRC can come knocking. And the other part of it is you also have to then apply for a distilling license. You have to prove that you know what you're doing, which I definitely do not. And they can come and audit you at any time. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have cider.
Yeah.
In this one instance, I'm just not going to go full Willington on this one.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing, Pete. Well, I look forward to sampling some.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There'll be samplings. Don't you worry about
it. I've just got back from France.
Oh, yeah?
Bonjour.
Yeah,
Ça va?
holidays again.
Well, yeah, I'm a teacher. I can literally take my holidays at 3 times the year. I can't just take leave whenever I want. It's at 3 points during the year.
Yeah.
My wife's a teacher. You're preaching to the choir.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always at the most expensive time of the year as well that you have to book holidays. So I spent a lovely week in France with my family and my 2 nephews and 2 nieces, which was lovely. It was absolutely adorable. I played a Finnish garden game called Mulki. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's the one with sticks. So basically,
What's a garden game?
What's a game?
You mean like a garden activity?
Yeah.
I think you mean like a garden board game. Is this like a new genre that I've not heard of?
Yeah, like pub Jungo and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, where you've kind of got like it's basically these sticks that have got numbers on them. I think it's 1 to 12, and you group them in a particular arrangement, very close together, like 10 pins in 10-pin bowling, with the high numbers in the middle and the lower numbers around the outside. And what you've got is this stick in your hand, almost like a baton, a wooden baton. And from a distance, you have to throw it underarm. That's important, and you've got to hit these pins, these sticks, essentially. If you hit one stick, then you score the number on that stick. If you hit more than one, so if you just hit one more stick, or 3 or 4, you score the number of sticks you've hit. So I could be aiming for that 12, but oh no, I've hit the 1 next to it, so now it's 2 points I get.
Right, okay.
And then you stack them up where they land, so that grouping dissipates. You've got 3 attempts on your throw to hit something. If you miss, you're out. And you have to finish bang on 50 points. It's almost like some of those darts games.
Yeah.
If you don't get 50 points, if you go over 50, you go straight back to 25 and carry on. And it's addictive as hell. My mum was amazing at it. Absolutely incredible at it. I've got a film actually on my phone where I stupidly stood behind the pins because I just assumed this pensioner's not going to be able to reach me from here. And she got me right in the crackers. So I played that. My eldest nephew, he's really into board games.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out of hospital, and to kind of, to congratulate him on how brave he was, I bought him my first Carcassonne.
Nice.
Which is a lovely game, honestly, listener. If you've got a kid around 4+, this is such a lovely game, because I've realised that this is just basically a Gentle Rain, but on a bigger scale. And that's a game we've spoken about before. It's such a relaxing kids game. You're not working together, you're working against each other, but you're kind of building this jigsaw. So we all know Carcassonne, it's a tile laying game, it's a classic game, it's where we get the name meeple from for a playing piece. But all you have to do here is you're laying tiles, and on each tile there'll be a road, and on that road will be a colour of your meeple. So look, I'm the yellows, and there's the figure there in yellow. Providing I can put an end to this road on both sides, I can put my meeple on that, and then I've scored, essentially. And it's whoever's quickest to get rid of their meeples wins. And that's it. And it's just, you're building this lovely, it's got all those things that Carcassonne does. It building this lovely kind of area, this cityscape. But it's also like a jigsaw, and it is so zen. I played so many games of that. 2 to 4 players from Marco Tibner. Highly recommend it. I also played a new version of Junior Monopoly, I think it was, it's one of those kids games where it has 2 levels of difficulty in it, and therefore 2 different rule books. So it just has this longer lifespan there as well. So that was great. That was really good fun.
I want to know about Junior Monopoly. Like, is it Monopoly, but is it the same core mechanics as Monopoly?
Same core mechanics to a degree. So I was playing as a chicken. No, I was a duck, sorry. And you land on property, you pay the price for it. If somebody lands on it, they pay you the rent for it. But you'll get these chance cards, and the chance cards will be like, okay, tell everyone about your best day ever, and then collect $1 from everyone. I don't know what that means thematically.
That's really nice.
It's lovely. So my nephew was saying, and this is literally his best day ever, happened to be a couple of days before, which was like, I got to go to a skate park and ride my bike up and down all the ramps and stuff there. Then I had a crep. And that's so lovely, isn't it? That's really sweet.
That is lovely.
And we also played, Pete, Death on the Cards. That by far was the game of the holiday that my entire family loved.
Ooh, so this is...
full disclosure.
I don't know how to handle this. This is Agatha Christie's Death on the Cards.
Agatha Christie's Death on the Cards.
Provided by not provided by... published by Modiphius and made by me. And, I was involved in some of it. Actually created by the company that I work for, and I was involved in the production of it. So I will bow out of this conversation.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to say too much about it, but like they loved it because they're like me. They're big Agatha Christie fans.
Cool.
And they were absolutely thrilled to bits to look for your name and find it in the rule book, and your partner, who's a game tester on it. They loved that. But
That's
it's
cool.
a really lovely game. It worked really well with all player accounts, actually. It was really good fun.
I keep seeing it. It's in every Wolf's
It's everywhere. But it's actually really good. You know how you get some of these games which are ubiquitous, but they're pretty naff. You're like, why are you still here? But like, this is genuinely really good. But I'm burying the lead here because I went to a board game shop. There was quite a few in France. There was one town we went to where everywhere was shut apart from this board game shop. And I do that thing I usually do, where I walked in and I said, look, have you got any recommendations? And I got recommended Harmonies, which we've spoken about in a previous episode of the pod. Game. And I was like, that's probably not going to fit in my suitcase with all my stuff going back. But what caught my eye was a game that came out this year, which is called Jungo.
Ooh.
Jungo. Designed by Toshiki Aro from Cocktail Games. This is a lovely card game. It's a really lovely card game. If you've got some...
Small footprint.
Yeah, very tiny box, very tiny box. I think it's like 64 cards or something. It's just cards. If you've got somebody you know who... You're not trying to necessarily get them into the hobby, but they've looked at your collection and to kind of humour you and say, look, let's just play one of your games.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, I don't want to scare them off by giving them something too big. Because they're very much, they're not on the fence, they're the other side of the fence, looking at me through the crack in the fence.
Yeah, you've not gone over to the board game collection, pulled out Advanced Squad Leader, and gone, right, let's sit down for 12 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think Jungo is this lovely sweet spot, because it's also, I think, quite an addictive game, full stop, where you've got a hand of cards, classic. It's where the highest number is 12.
Okay.
And they're all of different suits, colours. It's this lovely art where it's primarily a black background with these bold colours for like the suits. My niece, who is a baby, who is at that age as a baby where they're really just drawn to hyper contrasts.
Yeah.
She was hypnotised by these cards. And what happens is you're dealt a hand of cards. So you pick them up, but you're not allowed to change the order of the cards. They stay in your hand in that order. And then what happens is somebody plays a card. So say, for example, Dan plays a 4, a single 4. He plays it. It comes over to you, Pete. And you've got 2 things you can do. Well, 3 technically. You could just pick up a card because you can't do anything.
Yep. Yeah.
But typically you've got 2 things. You either play a single card of a higher number. So if Dan's played a 4, you could play a 5 or a 6, etc.
Yeah.
Or you play 2 cards. You play more than 1 card of the same number. So number of cards will beat the previous trick.
Okay, yep, sure.
So you're looking into your hand and thinking, oh, hang on, I have got 2 ones that just happen to be next to each other here. I'm just going to play those.
Nice.
You've beaten the trick. But then you've got a choice. Do I discard that 4 that Dan played, or do I put it into my hand wherever I want it to go? Because I've got a 4 here. If I put it next to that 4, I've got a very powerful hand I can play in future.
Oh.
But here's the rub. The game ends when somebody's the first to get rid of their cards. I'm taking that card back into my hand. It's going where I want it to go. But am I lengthening
You are
this
increasing
a bit?
your hand at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then again, what always happens typically in Jungo is that you'll turn around, the person next to you's got tons of cards, and then they'll play all of them because they all happen to be 8s. But you didn't realise that fact. And
that's really smart.
yeah, it's really good. And if you can't go, you can just pick up a card from the deck. And you can put it wherever you want in your hand. But if whatever happens, you could put it in a place in your deck, and you can actually play with that. You can play it, and that's called a Jungo. Honestly, it is embarrassingly simple in terms of its mechanics. Like, you could go away and create your own set of Jungo cards. I mean, there are some cards which are doubles. So I think there's like a 2 and a 3, and you just pick which one it is, or a 4 and a 5. But you could go and make this yourself. It is such a simple rule set. But you can kind of see, can't you, if you're just imagining, okay, somebody who's never played a card game before, really, apart from, say, Snap or Top Trumps when they were a kid.
Yeah, 100%.
It just works. It just sings. I don't think it's one of those ones you'll just want to play over and over and over again.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think it is a bit too simple. Like, some people are saying, oh, this has replaced Scout for them. I don't know where this comparison has come from, except their cards.
Okay.
And, there's something about where they're positioned in your hand. Scout has a little bit more going on for it, but I sold my copy of Scout this year, and to be honest, I prefer this. There are no chits or tokens that have to be moved around. It's just a deck of cards, and that's all I want to pick up and play.
I've been playing something of recently. Have you guys heard of Time Flies?
Oh, I saw the trailer for this, and it looked great. It looked really, really irreverent, really fun.
This rings a bell.
Yeah, so I saw the trailer for it. So Time Flies is a kind of a puzzler game from Playables, who I'll tell the truth, it's not a company I'm familiar with. Having played this and looking on their website, some of the other stuff they've done, they seem to be doing some really interesting, really small games, really interesting games. But in particular, it's published by Panic, who did Goose Game, Firewatch, Big Walk, which I know kind of that's an upcoming game.
That's
a game that we are all very excited about.
I can't wait to play.
Very, very excited about that game.
But more than anything, they're also the publisher of my favourite game of the year, Thank Goodness You're Here. And still remains my favourite game of the year. So this is a game kind of published by them, which again, the trailer attracted me. Seeing it was them and the kind of that connection with that kind of game, like, I'm very much interested now. So it's on PlayStation, Switch, Steam. It's on Mac.
Hey,
shockingly,
wow.
it's on Macs. So for any people who have a Mac and try and play games and realize, oh wait, no games play on this. Well, this one does.
I made the wrong choice.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, I don't think it's on Xbox, but I may be wrong because I know Xbox have the whole Epic Store, Game Store stuff, and I think it is on there. So this is a little clever little puzzle game, which puts you in the role of a housefly, and basically you live out the life of a housefly, and what a short life it is. And the game asks you to solve and kind of complete the bucket list for this fly, and you do that by kind of exploring the space, interacting with the environment, and the environment I think is the first thing that kind of grabbed me with this. It's really minimalistic, kind of monochromatic, pixelated line drawings. It's all hand drawn, kind of these. The fly often is little more than a dot on the screen that you're just following.
It looks a bit like a doodle one might have done on Windows 3.1 on Paint.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, where no color was allowed in it as well. So it's just black and white. The sound is exactly the same. It's very minimalist. There's very little to it. A lot of the time, the only sound you have is the buzzing of the fly as it flies around the screen. And so the way it works is you're given a short timer for each level. You're given a short timer to complete all of the tasks on your bucket list, and that is shown as like a scrap piece of paper with all these kind of tasks written down on them. It will give you kind of simple things at the start, like get rich or make someone laugh, and then you fly around the world investigating different stuff. You can go into different rooms, interact with different things, and there's lots of areas you can interact with. And when you've accomplished something, the note piece of paper pops up and they put a line through that one, and then you can move on. If the timer runs out, you die, and that's it. The fly, as it hits 0, the fly drops out of the air, lands on the floor, and then you can restart. And you restart with a new fly. It's a new fly because as you're flying around, you can see the old corpses of your old flies sat either on the ground or the cage or wherever it was they dropped, either because the time had finished, or there are plenty of ways that you might die if there might be a water tap that's been switched on. If you go into that, you die. If there's a light bulb, if you touch that, you die. All this stuff. And so there's that repetition is constantly going. So you have these things like get rich, make someone laugh, and like get rich will just be like you find some coins, and when you found those coins, it'll pop saying you completed that one. And they start off quite simple, but as the game goes on, those bucket list items become more abstract. So you have things like find harmony, push for change. There's one that says start a revolution. And again, you're just a fly flying around this kind of world.
Yeah.
And those things, the joy of the game is you then spend your time flying around this world trying to figure out, okay, what can I do for push for change? How can I accomplish this? And often there's a lot of trial and error of discovering stuff, and a lot of the time you might find something, you go, okay, this is good, this is funny, this is how it's interpreting this task. Sometimes it'll be quite simple, other times it's quite clever. And yeah, you spend your time finding all that, and then once you've found it all, because obviously you start again each time, in order to progress to the next level, you need to complete all of your bucket list tasks in one run. So there's like a second part to each level because you've found all the bits.
Sounds like
and
Deathloop.
Then it becomes, okay, can you speed run it? And you're like, okay, well now I know where everything is. And you become this fly just flying around the room. I've got to do this and that, this and this and this. And then you can complete it and you're like, brilliant. And then it moves on to another level, which the first time I played it, like I hadn't really picked up on the fact that there would be more levels. And I played the first one, I was kind of like, I mean, I'm having fun. I thought there'd be more. And then I finished, I was like, oh, there is more. Okay. And let's move on. It's just a really lovely game. It's a really short game. I think there's 4 levels. Okay. So it doesn't take long. It's really kind of feels like a palate cleanser type of a game, especially like when you think about the aesthetic and all that stuff. It's similar, like on a much smaller scale, but it has similar humor to like, Thank Goodness You're Here. There's a couple of running jokes or visual gags, and there's all stuff that you can just pick up on and enjoy, and there's certain things that might change between your playthroughs. So once you die, when you come back, small things might have changed a little bit. There's a really interesting difficulty setting when at the start of the game it picks up the country you're in. So it picked up for me United Kingdom, and it said the average life expectancy for someone in the United Kingdom is 80.1 years. So for that round, you have 80.1 seconds. And you can change that country. So I think the highest one, I think, is Japan, which is 84. So there's very much like a difficulty setting based on the country and life expectancy you're coming from.
Wow.
So you can find kind of countries with lower life expectancy makes it more difficult because you've got less time. And it's that little meta thinking that really kind of like, I'm enjoying what you're trying to do with this. And like the humor comes through the nature of the tasks, the funniness. So there's some bizarre stuff. There's some kind of very abstract, very weird stuff. And you think kind of, how do I get that? And you kind of do certain things like, okay, let's just kind of go with it. Similar to Thank Goodness You're Here, it doesn't state its welcome. It knows what it is. It knows it can't go for a long time because you'll lose interest. And I think it lasts as long as possible. There is replayability if you want to. I can see myself going back to it in the future.
That's good.
Not necessarily straight away. It's similar to Thank Goodness You're Here. I'll play it a long time in the future when I've perhaps forgotten the experience a bit, and I'll just kind of go back and enjoy it as a palate cleanser of this thing of like we often talk about audiobook games, and I've not tried it with an audiobook, but I can absolutely see, because most of it is very simple soundscape. There are a few different bits which you would want to listen to and stuff like that, but primarily it's just the fly. And to be fair, if you listen to it for long enough, that fly can get a bit annoying as well. It's just a consistent buzz. But it knows what it is. That's reflected in the price. It's about £11.50 last time I looked on PlayStation. So it's not kind of really, it doesn't have like a really high price point. It's really accessible. And yeah, it was just a real kind of fun, surprising delight. And I'd recommend it as like a little alternative to, if you can't think of what to play, I'll be a fly.
I'll play the insect version of Returnal.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Wow,
I like that a lot. Yeah, because it's funny, isn't it? There are some publishers where you look at their work and you just go, "Yep, whatever you're about to put out next, I'm interested." Like I'm interested in, and I think Panic is one of those. I think that is one of those publishers, right? It's kind of like, for me, Panic is my Annapurna, and I know that we've played a bunch of Annapurna stuff before. We've talked about them a lot. They've published a whole bunch of different things. We've talked about many of them on the podcast: Flower, Florence, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Donut County, things like Unfinished Swan, Stray,
yes.
Hohokam. Like one that I'm particularly interested in, one called Wheel World, which
yes.
I'm looking forward to giving that a go at some point as well. But the three of us, we've all been playing Lushfoil Photography Sim.
Yes.
Which I'm just going to call it Lushfoil from here on out. Can
Yeah.
we just call it Lushfoil? Is that
can,
cool? Yeah.
Let's
just do that. Lushfoil. So this is Annapurna publishing it. It's by a creator called Matt Newell, a solo developer. I am more than confident that there was definitely more than one person who helped make this game, but by and large, it seems like the work of very much the vision of one person. And you know, maybe there was a little bit of help here and there on various different things. I'm sure, but by and large, this is the work of one person. And as far as I can tell, they've only had one individual release themselves as well, like separately. I don't know if they've worked in AAA or elsewhere, or if they've got credits on other games. But their previous game is a game called Wakamarina Valley, New Zealand, which is a VR and desktop game, which is actually very much like Lushfoil. It looks like very much like Lushfoil, in that it's a very it shares a lot of the same aesthetic and indeed a lot of the same gameplay as far as I can tell. But Lushfoil is the game that is a game that I've wanted to make for a really long time, and I'm really gutted that somebody else made it. But I'm also really happy that somebody else made it. And it is ostensibly a photography simulation game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a little caveat over that, because I think there's a bit more to it than that.
Very much so.
But there's definitely, but ostensibly on the surface, it is a photography simulation game. So if you've played one of my favorite games, Hakuna Matata /Africa, that was on the PlayStation 3, or if you've played something like a Pokemon Snap or one of those kinds of games, this is a game in which you walk around different environments and you take photos. The core mechanic is very straightforward for progress, and that is that you wander around environments and you will find these sort of collectibles every now and again, and that helps build up a number. And you've also been asked to take specific photos that you have to replicate. So you have the photo that the image that you need to capture, and then and then you need to go and find it in that environment and then take a version of that photo. And between those two things, that will unlock more levels, and there are a variety of different environments that you can wander around. That's a very simple progression mechanic. And to capture the picture and to pick up the object is very simple, right? So it can be as easy as look at the thing, press the capture button, you've taken the photo. It can be as easy as go up to the object, press the button, you've picked up the object. Great. Now, where there's a ton of nuance here, for me at least, and I'm really interested in hearing about what you folks found about this. But first of all, this is a great podcast audiobook game. Like this is like perfect for that, right? Great soundtrack, really good. But better soundtrack, the Horus Heresy novels.
I have to say we've talked about audiobook games quite a bit in the past, and I do struggle with that. Like I really do struggle with the audiobook games because like I can only focus on one thing or the other. I find if I'm playing a game, I get too engrossed in the game and I stop listening to the book in my head. Or if I listen to the book in the head, I'm losing track of what I'm doing on the screen and I'm losing focus there. Lushfoil has been one of the few that has the input level, which is isn't meaning to say that there's not a lot of input, but the input level is such that my brain can go into autopilot mode to an extent because it's just visual.
Absolutely, yeah. There's not. I mean, the game is basically wordless. You know, like there's very little written dialogue on the screen or written text on the screen or anything along those lines. But the thing I think that's fascinating about it is, so first of all, it's a fully realized first of all, it has a fully realized digital camera in the game, right? So a DSLR. So this is a professional level photography, camera. Again, much like my beloved Hakuna Matata. And that allows you to do things like figure out stuff like aperture, focus, allows you to do different levels of zoom, different levels of different kinds of exposure, changing the contrast, all of these different elements. And you can take pictures in landscape, you can take pictures in portrait. And obviously then there's also the composition of those images because you're wandering around, you exist in this space, you can take really interesting photos. And, in the same way that many people talk about the best films where every scene's a picture or, whatever it is. You can very obviously tell that the environment design of Lushfoil is very, very clever and very, very good because it is just rife with amazing opportunities to take really cool photos. And I'm not the best photographer in the world, not by a long shot. And even I was able to find things where I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can take a cool photo here. And I can manipulate the camera to make it look in a certain way. And yeah, I found that really cool. There's also other cameras in the game, so you can pick up things like...
video camera?
You can pick up like a proper old camcorder style video camera. You can pick up an analog... kind of
like SLR almost.
Yeah.
Disposable.
Yeah.
like super snaps.
A super snaps. You can also, you can also pick up a camera like you might have bought in the late 90s, early 2000s, like a digital version of one of those. So 3 megapixels and, all of this sort of stuff. So there's also lots of very interesting looking camera lenses. And as somebody who does Game Boy photography, that's really fun for me.
Which I love.
Right? Which is lovely, right? Like, so there's that. The environments are made. So this is a game made in Unreal Engine 5. And one of the things Unreal Engine 5 does is make things look real nice. Like, it can make things look very nice very easily. It takes a lot of effort, and that's not to denigrate the work of the developer, obviously, but it is easier to make things look real nice in Unreal Engine 5. It just is. And heck yes, they have lent into that. Like, this is some of the best environment art I have seen. Like, this is real, like proper realism. Oh my goodness, every once in a while, you put the camera down and go, if you squint ever so slightly, this is real. Like,
and get very close to your telly.
Yeah. It looks incredible. Like, it's not often anymore we get to talk about fidelity being a really, really cool part of, like, a game's visual appeal. Like, oh wow, that looks amazingly realistic. But this is one of them. Like, I don't know if you've it's a bit of a spoiler, but one of the environments you end up going to is Tibet. I don't know if you've been to the Tibet one yet.
No, I've not unlocked that yet.
Oh my goodness. The snowstorm in Tibet is genuinely incredible. Like, I think it is some of the best looking realistic visuals I have ever seen in a video game. Like, and this is again an individual developer going through Annapurna, which that's not their thing. They're not into, they're not the Gran Turismos. They're not the the super high end, kill zones or whatever it is, flight sims. But this game just looks absolutely stonkingly good. Like, very impressive. Are you playing on PlayStation? You're playing on PlayStation, I assume, Chris?
Yeah, I'm playing it on PlayStation. It was interesting, actually. Sam came round and as part of my little birthday thing, we watched a 5-hour opera together, although I think it's about 4.5 hours, which I'll talk about at some point, probably at the end of the year. But I was showing him Lushfoil, and he discovered a thing that I didn't realise, which is when you go back through your photos, you can open up a photo and it will suddenly take you to where you took it.
Yeah.
So you can kind of teleport around the area, which is really lovely. I'm just really curious to know, like, when you take pictures in this game, what do you typically photograph? Because I wasn't so much interested in the specifics of exposure, ISO, and all that jazz. For me, it was about the framing of the shots. I'm really curious to know what you chose to photograph.
Yeah. My experience of Lushfoil changed over time, actually, and that's one of the things I want to get to in a moment. But when I was playing it as a photography simulation game, I was doing lots of composition stuff. Like, I really wanted to make striking contrasts between things like a really blown out sky of like grey, like the first level, for example. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
First level is a snowy. There's areas of snow basically, and you're in a forest, and there's a big lake. And I wanted to make a really big I found a lot of joy in finding contrast between the natural shapes of things like trees and mountains and landscape versus the very obviously man-made, the church, the
bridges,
the house on the jetty, things along those lines, and making those as striking as possible, so that so I would do things like I would do portrait photos of very, very obviously like thirds of water and forest and sky, right? And it would and things that you just can't help but be, it's slightly gauche, I suppose, but it's not very subtle, but it's a very evocative image.
Yeah.
And then I was also very interested in doing things like, in one of the levels, taking images from taking pictures from angles that are not the standard. So you can with the controls, one of the elements of sort of finesse that you can have is you can essentially stand on your tiptoes, or you can duck down slightly, but you can also tilt to the left and tilt to the right.
Yeah, like a Dutch angle.
Yeah, exactly. And And there are some really good opportunities for taking images of objects very, very close, but in like a lower portion of the camera frame, and then contrasting that with the background that it's a part of. So focusing really hard on the thing in focusing really hard on the thing in the background, but softening the blur on the thing in the foreground itself. Yeah, that was the sort of thing I was doing when I was treating it like a photography simulation game.
Yeah, I think by the sounds of it, like, cause obviously there is a lot of detail that goes into kind of the camera work and all the options and all the kind of elements to the camera. And it sounds like he's really kind of leaned into that. I think I'm probably a bit more, by the sounds of it, I think, Chris, you were saying that you were focusing more on the framing and stuff like that. And that's kind of what I was doing as well. And I think to the game's credit, for a game that's kind of called Lushfoil Photography Sim, it doesn't punish you if you don't really go in for the photography sim.
Agreed.
Like, if there is the kind of the element of taking specific pictures. So you are given through kind of the game environment, you are shown a number of pictures, and it just, as you say, it's not text heavy. It doesn't say take pictures of these, but there's an implication there that you can naturally pick up. You're like, okay, well, this is what I need to try and do, and you have an idea of, okay, well, this is what I need to do. You try and take that picture, and you could take a fairly basic picture of it, and it accepts it. It says, yep, that's fine. You found it. It's a kind of where's Wally type thing. You found the picture. There you go. Brilliant. Done. What I tended to find was like, oh, I've done it. Well, no, that wasn't close enough. I want to get a better replica. I was like, no, that's not. It wasn't a case of like the exposure and all that stuff. I'm like, no, the framing wasn't quite right there. I didn't get, if I were to put them side by side, they wouldn't look the same, and I would want to go back in and try and get that framing right. But that was more a case of finding the right position. And it is kind of, seems like a bizarre thing to say about a game, but it was kind of gamifying that, because I was looking for, in this world, I was looking for the kind of X marks the spot. Take the picture from here, this is where you get the framing right. And that's what I was kind of looking for. The exposure stuff I would do a little bit of, and but it would be quite token, in the sense of like, I want to make it look nice. I didn't fully understand what I was doing with it, because that's not something that I'm kind of familiar with, and I was more than happy just to take the picture and kind of move on. What I would say about the environments, you say the environments are stunning, and you talk about them looking real. Like, there was occasion I would get disappointed because I would look up into the trees and it would look amazing, and I'd see, and it would be like 5 or 6 kind of levels back, trees not moving, because obviously that's just a still image at the back, and you'd be like, oh no, it's broken it, because I'm so convinced that this does feel photorealistic, that when I see that little bit, that actually valley. No, that's not moving. The wind is blowing through all the other trees, it's not moving through that one. That is a still image.
I find it really interesting, Dan, what you were saying about satisfying a brief, because for me this game is like what would usually be a side quest of a lot of open world games, where there'll be like a map or a picture, and it says, okay, the treasure is buried here, and it's just a drawing, and you've just got to rack your brain and where in the world have I seen that particular feature? And some people really hate that in open world games. I love it. It's like a big treasure hunt. And that is this game kind of distilled, really, albeit across a much smaller area compared to kind of larger kind of open world games. It also reminded me a bit of one of my favourite first-person games, which was Eastshade, where part of the brief of Eastshade is that you're an artist, a jobbing artist on this island. You are commissioned to go off and do paintings, but you're not given a picture of what wants to be painted. It says, okay, it has to include this, this, and this, and you use your own artistic judgment to kind of go, okay, this feels right, plant my easel and start painting, say. Am I right in saying that you don't encounter any humans in this game?
So, I have played a lot of it. I have not finished it 100%. I get the feeling that you might eventually see someone, but you do see animals. There are animals in the game. And occasionally it's quite... because it's very rare and it doesn't seem like it's scripted, or it certainly doesn't feel like it's scripted. It might very well be, but it doesn't feel like it is. I definitely had that feeling when I was playing it of an animal, right? Like I definitely, you know, when like you're out and about and like you'll be like, oh, there's a beautiful piece of nature in front of you, and it's a surprise. It's like a joyous gift, but it's also you're startled and the animal is startled. Of like, it's almost like you've encroached upon each other's space in some way, and you have that brief moment where you lock eyes and then you both go off in your different directions. But when I'm playing it as a walking simulator, I'm sort of approaching it in a different way, and really I'm trying to unlock more of what's going on, and that does change your perspective on it. It certainly changed it for me. I stopped just walking around and I started running, and I started using the run button, and that's the moment where I realized I was actually playing it in a slightly different way, and I actually had to kind of really focus on going back to, no, this is a photography simulation game, because the more it gamifies itself, the more it took away from this idea of just wandering around this space and taking
which is a
really
walking
cool photos.
sim.
Right. And so that was really interesting to me. But as I say, the further I've gotten into the game, the more and more and more interested I am in this thing. I think this to me is also another classic example of a video game whereby I really hope it gets a sequel, because I think the sequel to this will probably end up being one of my favorite games. Like, if I would love to see a way to share these photos online with others. I would love to see other people's photos. I would absolutely adore a bigger singular open world whereby you are inhabiting more of that space. And yes, there are things to do, but it is much more figure it out yourself rather than go through a specific set of paths. Like there's quite a few paths that you kind of need to stick with. Some of them maps are a bit more open and a bit more freeform, but some of them are like, you kind of need to stick to these paths. But yeah, like and I think that's almost the joyous part of this for me, of a video game. This edition of Lushfoil, this one that we have right now, and maybe it's the only one we ever get. It's one of my favorite kinds of games in that you see it and you go, "Oh, there's something really special about this." And I will remember playing this for a long time. And again, that's kind of one of the things I think that Annapurna does do really well, which is you can't not have a reaction to their game. There's no Annapurna game where you look at it and you go, There's like every single one of them, you either go, yeah, that's absolutely my jam, or it's not my cup of tea at all, right?
Well, I know, Pete, you're talking about sharing photos with people. Well, we're on Instagram at Staying In Pod. I think, listen, if you're listening to this episode, if you go on the gram, there'll be an image from each of us from Lushfoil. It's not a competition. I'm not asking you to rate the best.
I like that idea. Yeah, I like that idea. I'd like to get our picture.
Let's do that, because I think it's a beautiful game. It is a beautiful game, and it's not about competition. It is just about I'm just really curious to know,
making something beautiful,
like what you're drawn to in this landscape. That's what I love about these kinds of games, because it's a landscape all of us can access, and it's the same for all of us. So the variable essentially is us.
You hit them.
That's a really interesting. Actually, I mean, I'm gonna fall at the first hurdle, but it's a really interesting idea.
This is one of those games where I come away from it and I have lots of feelings about it, and that to me is what makes games really exciting, because I'm jaded and awful. Most games now, I can just look at the trailer and go, that's not for me, or I've seen it before, or I understand what you're doing, but whatever. Very few games now come along where I genuinely go, oh, that is really cool. Like, that is a really different thing. And I think this, like I say, I think Lushfoil is one of them. It's something else.
It's lush.
It's Slush.
So I've been actually playing one other thing, and this is super, super small. Like, you thought Time Flies was small, this is super, super
Teeny
small.
tiny.
I assume you guys are familiar with the kind of the American comedian Hank Green.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Hank Green, he's a YouTuber as well.
Yes. Got a
you
lovely
may
voice.
you might be familiar with some of his work. He has created kind of an app game called Focus Friend.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
No.
Yeah, it's done incredible. It's done gangbusters, this thing has.
Yeah, it really has. And this is like one, you know, when you're kind of on YouTube and you get those adverts for the games come up, and usually it's like, oh, it's king shots, fight enemies, or the one where you're fighting all the zombies and you have to shoot them, and the person playing it makes the stupid decisions and makes you want to play the game. Those come up and I just like, my brain kind of wipes, so I ignore it. But this one came up and it was Hank Green talking about this game that he's made. And this game called Focus Friend is designed to boost productivity. So I work from home. My laptop on my desk, I've got my phone next to me, and as much as I may try to ignore it, I get bored. I pick up my phone.
Yeah.
I have a little scan.
Yeah.
I have a little look on social media. I have a look at this and that. And
have a little break.
Different bits and pieces.
It's like having a
have a
coffee
little
break.
But then I find I've spent a bit too much time and I put it back down. Then I've lost the concentration then.
Yeah.
So what Focus Friend does is it is trying to gamify your attention span. So what Focus Friend is when you open the game, you are introduced to a small little character who is a bean, who is your focus friend. This bean, you can name your bean, and he says at the start, he says, don't worry, you can change my name afterwards. This is just to get aside. I'm still trying to figure out who I am as well. So you can put there, like, my little bean is called Buzz, and you put it there, and he pops there. And when you get into the game, he's sat in this little kind of, what's the shape, the angle?
Isometric?
Yes. So he's sitting there in like this little isometric kind of room, sat there. And in order to play the game, you have to ask him to focus. And when you focus, it basically closes down your phone. Okay. So basically, it just puts into focus. You can put it into deep focus mode, which then restricts a lot of your apps, so you can't access them, and you can set the amount of time that you can focus for. So you can set it for 5 minutes, anything up to 2 hours. When you're focusing, your bean is there, and he's doing what he does best, and he's doing what he loves the most, which is knitting. And he's knitting away. And as he's knitting some socks. He's knit bits and pieces so he can sell them, because he wants to make some money, so he can buy new things for his little house. And that's all it is. If you interrupt him when he's trying to focus and he's knitting, unfortunately, he loses all the socks that he's made, and he doesn't make any money for his little room.
This is
so you
great.
can't buy him anything to go in his house, and he's a bit sad about that. But sometimes if you have to do it, you have to do it. But what it does is it makes me really not want to go on my phone.
That's great,
and I set it for like 2 hours. I put it for like that maximum thing. Unless I've got something that I know I'm going to need my phone for in that window, I know like 2 hours. And if I look at my phone, he's going to be, it's right on the front. And if you try to go onto an app, especially if you're using the deep focus mode, it pops up saying, access to this app is restricted. Now, I'm sure if I went into my settings, I'd find out how it's done that. I use, because I've got an iPhone, I use the screen time stuff, the downtime stuff. You can set all these settings to really restrict you. And I do that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I do.
So I know there will be settings in there, but it's not one of those things where it says, you have restricted access to this app. Do you want to ignore this for 15 minutes? Do you want to ignore it for a minute? It doesn't give you that option. It's literally like, no, you can't get into this. The only way to get into this is to go say hi to Buzzbean and press to stop focusing.
That's so
he gets
good.
Deny Buzzbean an income.
It's so clever. It's like a free app. I think there is a pro version where you can kind of customize the restriction access to the apps. Otherwise, it's just like a blanket thing that it doesn't do it for all of your apps. I think there is obviously the element of like emergency apps and stuff that it needs to leave open. It's not perfect with that, but majority of the apps are blocked with it. But I just think it's a really lovely way of boosting productivity, that it's not just shutting down your phone. it's giving a reason to shut down your phone. It's giving you a reason not to unlock it. Because if I do, Buzzbean's going to be unhappy.
So talk me through this, Dan. So you're at your desk working, or you're standing or sitting at your desk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look as you're typing, if you look to your left and your phone's there, can you just see the bean in its living room just knitting?
Yes. I mean, my phone would tend to go into lock mode and all that stuff, so you wouldn't see it then. But if you went to it, he'd be turned away and he'd be knitting away, and then he'd come back and you'd have a little counter at the top of to how many, usually like 1 a minute or something like that, how many socks or mittens or whatever he's knitted, so you can then sell and get things for your thing and stuff as well. So
do you have like the same bean throughout? So like, for example, I've had a good day being productive. I'm done with work now. You're going to pause sock manufacturing now. We'll pick up again tomorrow. Is it a new bean, a new day?
No, it's always the same bean.
Right, okay.
But once you've put the focus on, I think there's like a 10-second window where you can cancel it. After that, kind of, if you cancel it, he loses anything he's knitted and he's not very happy.
Yeah.
And he's not very... So there is that kind of, that element. It is the same bean, it builds up, but obviously if I've put it on, if I'm working and I'm going to put it on for 2 hours, and that's at 4 o'clock, but actually I finished work at 5:15, I want to use my phone again.
Yeah.
I have to either stop the focus, which breaks the rhythm and I lose everything, or I leave it until it reaches 6 o'clock and then it does naturally unlock. Because I think 2 hours is the maximum you can do. But it's just a really clever, it's like a free app online.
I love this.
Like,
I'm downloading
and that's the thing, it was an advert that popped up on YouTube, which I usually ignore. And the advert is him saying, like, this is a productivity app, talking about this is what it is. We don't take any data. It's nothing like that. It's just about productivity. It's free. We don't do anything. And it's a really fascinating, I think, kind of app and game and kind of experience, so to speak. It's a really cute little cartoon bean that lives in a little house and you have to look after him. It's like turning productivity to like Tamagotchis.
I was just thinking it reminds me of like a Tamagotchi, but instead of not forgetting to feed it, it's like the opposite. You're not forgetting to leave it.
But it did, like when it went, because obviously he is a big YouTuber. He's one online, so obviously he's got a huge following. It did go really straight to the top of the app charts when it came out because people just liked it. It just kind of was like, we talk a lot on this podcast around things that we just like. They're just nice. A lot of the things that we really gravitate towards are those nice things, and this is another one of them. It's called Focus Friend. I got it on iPhone. I assume it's on Android as well, but I've not tried that. But yeah, I recommend it. Give it a go.
I've got some facts about flies.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to hear those.
From a website called theexterminator.com or westernexterminator.com, which is,
Has it got some facts about killing flies, is it? I mean,
no.
The game is all about killing flies.
Do you know they live about 30 days, typically?
Yeah, I think, like house has like between 15 to 30 days.
They can taste with their feet.
Oh, man, think about what they stand in.
I know. This is crazy. Their reaction times, so... Our brains, so human beings, most of us, process around 60 images a second.
Yeah.
Guess how many images a second a fly can process, which is why they're so fast at reacting.
Don't know.
250 images a second.
Jeez.
That's a hell of a frame rate.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's it. Because all the other facts are pretty gross, and I don't really want to do that to listener right now. Let's just keep it nice and sweet.
If you've got a fact about flies that's not gross and nice, stayinginpod@gmail.com is the place to send them to. And like we talked about earlier, on our Instagram, you will see some pictures from Dan and Chris and me from Lushfoil, which obviously we talked about a lot. You'll see those photos. They're over on Insta. If you're here and you're listening and you like what you're listening to, make sure you're subscribed, because I think it helps us out. I don't know. And if you can upvote or like or whatever it is that's on the thing that you do, if you can be asked, go ahead and do that. We don't know if it does anything, but it's always nice.
It's the only reason we stay together as friends.
Exactly.
Because we don't really like each other.
No, it's just for the it's just for the clout.
just for the reviews.
Yeah. And if you're also interested, take a look at the description of this podcast, because we always write them and we always include links to all the stuff what we have just talked about. So we'll include links to where you can see all of these things. So, we haven't talked about a film today, but we'd include a link to a trailer, for example, with a film, with games and stuff like that. If you're interested in a board game that we talked about, for example, we'll link out to the company that provides it, and you can find out more information about how to get it in your area and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of good information in there. And in there is a link to the Spotify curated playlist, which Chris beautifully curates. And so we'll probably have, what would we include in there from this one?
Some buzzing sounds, and some of the music from Lushfoil, I think.
Actually, yeah, the soundtrack. We didn't really talk about it. The soundtrack of Lushfoil is very good. So yeah, maybe something from Lushfoil would be a nice thing to pop in. And I'm pretty confident that's everything that we sort of talk about. Obviously, you can go to stayinginpodcast.com. That's where all of this stuff is. If you're ever like, oh, where's the thing? Stayinginpodcast.com. We've got links to absolutely everything there, and you can find all of these and every single previous episode that we've ever done on there as well.
I think that's it. I think if you've got a name for Pete's Cider or Apples, I know we keep banging that drum.
Keep banging
it. Glass Grenades, I think, is quite a good placeholder.
Yeah, not quite the relaxing name, is it, for a nice chill-out drink or whatever. But, I think that'll be the placeholder one for the time being, unless I've got a better one. And I will keep you updated with my Apple jeans.
Yeah, Apple jeans. I think Glass Grenade in a lovely Cyrillic font. Like a picture of you with rosy cheeks in your orchard, sleeves rolled up.
Just like behind you, these just shards of glass flying over behind you.
Yeah.
That's a great image.
Well, yeah. Take care.
Pants optional.